Week 2 of the 2025 season is here. Rams versus Titans out there in Nashville, Tennessee. How are the Rams going to win this game? Well, we'll talk about that next on this Keys to Victory episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any episode, whether it be Keys of Victory, film breakdowns, post-game, rehash, all that fun stuff throughout this entire season. And if you're on the audio only or podcast only side of things, share this podcast audio with all your friends. Any of those options helps other Rams fans to see our content, and me and Mark very much appreciate it. But before we get started, everyone, Mark has a quick message from our sponsor.
Yeah, hey, we have really good news. We have a new sponsor. MyBookie has hooked up with us. Now, you all know that guy that shows up at the office claiming he won a couple of bets, or at your adult basketball game, the money line long shot that came in for him. Well, you can be that guy, and it's almost going to be practically free from the get go. MyBookie is offering you first time accounts. Use the Rams Up code, and your $500, a $500 bet is fully covered. So you go to mybookie.website/join with Rams Up. Use promo code Rams Up. Now, I like to mix in a couple of bets that I like. I encourage you to not follow my lead, but the two I like this week, this 49ers Saints game. Last week, I went Saints Cardinals on the under. Same thing this week. The 49ers offense is going to be coming limping into this game, and actually the over-under could be dropping. So get your bet in quickly. And the other one I like is the Colts money line. It'll pay about 120 on a $100 bet in that neighborhood. I'm really impressed with what the Colts have done. But MyBookie, they're partnering up with us. You can help yourself out and help us out a little bit. Create an account, use that promo code RAMSUP, and you'll be good to go.
All right, everyone. Well, hope everyone's had a good week, a victory week, as, gosh, winning week 1 is such a beautiful feeling, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's I always go into these games thinking, like I'm an optimist, but at the same time, I look at the worst possible outcome as well. And a loss here, to an AFC opponent, it would have been a bummer. And we could have very easily lost that game. But man, it's such a adrenaline rush, really, to your Rams spirits when they pull off a win like that, and a kind of cool fashion too, with the peanut punch at the end there. Lots of guys pitching in. It was a nice win.
Nice win for sure. And before we officially move into week 2 and the keys of victory and all that fun stuff, it's important to recognize someone who got a league-wide reward, a little bonus probably, and an award. That would be Defensive Player of the Week, Nate Landman for the Rams. And this was released earlier today, as all the awards for Player of the Week have come out within the last, day and a half, I would say, or so. And Nate Landman, the free agent veteran minimum linebacker who became a captain with his first go around as a Ram, Defensive Player of the Week, Mark. Pretty dang cool.
Yeah, and I would love to have a chat with Raheem Morris. Why didn't they? I don't think they really made an effort to keep this guy, right? And
Not at
just
all, no.
yeah, he's just exactly what you want in a middle linebacker. I mean, obviously, you could have a guy like Fred Warner. That would be awesome. But Nate Landman, a poor man's linebacker, maybe. But delivered exactly what was advertised. He's going to create turnovers, and in the game one, right out of the gate, a game-saving turnover created. And by the way, while we're on that subject, someone mentioned it, and was that a great fumble recovery by Braden Fisk as well? I mean,
Yeah.
no ball rolling around on the ground and five guys trying to cover it. He pounced on it and it was over.
It was over, and it's glad that he's getting recognized as there were other great defensive plays being made throughout the NFL, but his 10 total tackles and the peanut punch to seal it, I'm glad the NFL voters, whoever they may be, all recognized him as a difference maker and the defensive player of week one throughout the entire NFL. I tip my cap to you, Nate Landman, or the Landman. He says either one's fine. Landman or the Landman. Both sound cool. I'm in on either one. I just wanted to shout him out before we get started, and keep him in the back of your mind there, Rams fans and Tennessee Titans fans, if you're tuning in with us as well. Now, Rams versus Titans week two as we officially move forward into this week two matchup. And gosh, this matchup, Mark, history wise, has been a lot closer than I think a lot of people realize. As yes, there was the famous Super Bowl matchup that went down as one of the most fun Super Bowl games ever for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of Rams fans and I know Titans fans, it's painful, but I think everyone acknowledges outside of those two fan bases that it was a good game. You got thrilling offense, defense, et cetera, et cetera. But outside of that game, not a lot of people remember tons of Rams Titans matchups if you're not fans of the team. But in this history, Mark, overall, the Rams are, squeaking by with a 7-6 overall record. And again, one of those wins in the playoffs, the Super Bowl matchup in the 99 season, greatest show on turf era Rams. And Tennessee, only one game behind. That's kind of surprising. I didn't realize it was that close, Mark, until I started looking into it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either, but I know during those Greatest Show on Turf years that the regular season game we played against them and we lost prior
Mhm.
leading up to the Super Bowl, and they were the type of team. Them and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, two teams we had to beat to walk away with a Super Bowl championship. Both played physical, smash mouth defensive football, and that Titans team they really gave that Rams offense trouble. And Jeff Fisher teams, that's what they were kind of known for, just in your face. And it wasn't to the Rams' liking for the most part. We did manage to win in the Super Bowl, obviously, but I think the Titans have always struck me as one of those teams, year in and year out, just a physical, tough football team, especially on defense.
Absolutely. And that's been the case the last matchups we faced them too. As how about those last 5 games, Rams Nation? 2005, 2009, 2013, and 2017 and 21, the last two matchups in the McVay era. All these games pretty close or Rams lost convincingly. So in 2005, the St. Louis Rams win a high scoring game, 31-27. 2009, Rams got their ass whooped. Tennessee dropped 47 on them as they lost, 47-7. 2013, it was a 28-21 loss. 2017, a very close one. If you remember, that was when, the Rams would wear those mismatched jersey, pants, and helmet that everyone else still complains about to this day. Remember the old St. Louis Navy jersey with the St. Louis gold, but then the Rams helmet was white then, white horns with navy with the white face mask. Because everything looked mismatched. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's such an ugly uniform. Why are they wearing that?" So that was that game. And then, if you remember the Super Bowl season on Sunday Night Football, I was at that game where the Tennessee defense absolutely whooped the Rams offense's ass. And that was not a good game on prime time, as that game back in 2021 was a 28-16 loss. And it was worse than that. They had a garbage time touchdown, I remember. But, Matthew Stafford didn't play well. He got pressured a ton. Their defense was legit, and Tennessee was one of the top seeds that year. So they were awesome. But Mark, overall, the last 5 matchups, 2-3, with McVay being 1-1 in the two only matchups that he's had in this career here.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about these games because I have my Rams Titans trivia questions coming up in a day or two.
Nice.
And one of them has to do with that 47-7 loss. Man, there was a
Right.
particular player that destroyed us in that game. A very, very fast running back, giving away one
Mhm.
of my questions here. But yeah, yeah, there's been some bad moments against the Titans for sure.
Bad moments, and let's fast forward to that last matchup as well. I know I talked about it a little bit already, but let's look at the score as a whole. As you know, the Titans had 21 points in that second quarter. As you know, it was a bad day offensively, and then Rams got a garbage time touchdown, et cetera, et cetera. So when Ryan Tannehill was their quarterback, you know, he didn't have a great day. He threw that interception to Jalen Ramsey, and then he had a touchdown himself. Deontay Foreman was their main running back or main ball carrier. AJ Brown was still a Titan at that point. And then Matthew Stafford had 2 INTs, the touchdown. You know, Darrell Henderson was our main running back then. And obviously Cooper Kupp was still catching 11, 10 plus passes, almost 100 yards. But I mean, what a different world from then to now, Mark. Yes, Stafford's still there. Yes, some other, you know, core guys of that Super Bowl team. Not many, but there's still some hanging around. You know, that whole Tennessee, you know, team is completely different from that, 12-win team back in 2021 from Tennessee. As hey, both teams were 7-2 at that point late in November. Just what a funny thing to look back at, you know.
Yeah, and, you have talked about it plenty of times, Ian. The Rams, this Rams team under Sean McVay has the habit of throwing a couple of lousy eggs over the course
Yeah.
of the season, and this was one of them, I think. So hopefully we can avoid that this week. And with the culture he has built, it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't happen. I don't quite get it, but it happens, and I think
Yeah.
it's more likely to happen on the road. It's happened at home too. Remember we lost to the Jets in that critical game at that might have been at the Coliseum. I forget where. But it
So far,
happens
it
to
was
this Rams
2020, I
team.
remember.
Was it SoFi? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It happens to this team, and really good Rams teams just lay a dump sometimes.
Yeah, and it happened in that 2021 game. Yeah, we knew Tennessee was good, but the offense didn't show up. It was a tough day. I was there. I was mad for a Sunday night game. I was like, gosh dang it, can't believe I spent my money and they sucked. I've done that a couple times. Don't worry, I'll do it again. But as we move on, Rams Nation, how about this Titans offense and the Titans roster as a whole, right? So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the names of the starters and then the second, string guys. And some of those dudes will get rotated in receivers, tight ends, running backs, et cetera, of course. And if you are on YouTube as well, you notice there are some red dots and there are some green dots. So red dot for this roster section of our episode means that they've been a Pro Bowler before, that player. If you see a green dot, that means they've been an All Pro before. So, starting at the top, we have Calvin Ridley, who has been an All Pro. Then at tight end, you have Oken. Oh my God, I can't even remember now. Shig Okonkwo. Jesus, I need my glasses, don't I? Then you
I
have
can't
left
help you,
tackle.
man.
I know. I'm hitting that point now, aren't I? Left tackle, Dan Moore Jr. Left guard, Peter Skoronsky. Center, Lloyd Cushenberry III. Right guard, and a former Pro Bowler, Kevin Zeitler. Right tackle, J.C. Latham. Wide receiver, Tyler Lockett. We've had some, bad moments against him in Seattle. He's been a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro before. Then you have rookie Alec Manor, who was a receiver that me and Mark liked, who we, would have been fine the Rams taking in round 3. Then you have rookie sensation and not a lot of hype, but a talented player, Cam Ward, who we liked. And then you have former Dallas Cowboy, who's been a Pro Bowler, Tony Pollard. Then, of course, you have the backups. You have, Brandon Allen, former Ram Van Jefferson has gotten some burn. He's in there, the wide receiver group. And then you have other guys that may or may not play, right? Gunnar Helm, the rookie who we liked from Texas, I believe. That were like, hey, that's one of the tight ends we'd be fine drafting, et cetera, et cetera. But hey, former Ram Van Jefferson, not a starter as he's bounced around. But overall, as a group here, Mark, just your quick thoughts on the offense. We'll dive deeper into certain players, but
Yeah,
how do you feel about this group?
I feel like it's a bit of a hodgepodge of a roster. It reminds me of some of the Jeff Fisher Rams rosters where they're just pulling players from here and there to try to construct something competitive and maybe falling a little bit short. Now, Eric Ayamaner from Canada via Stanford, he's a guy we really like. Tyler Lockett, I mean, so he has had so many big moments against the Rams, but he had just one target last week, no receptions. But Ridley, he's a solid receiver. And Van Jefferson, Super Bowl champion Van Jefferson, right? So and Tony
Yeah.
Pollard, he had his moments with the Cowboys. But I don't want to just say that it's not an offensive roster that frightens me at the moment. But Cam Ward, who knows? Who knows what he could light it up. A rookie getting his feet wet, sacked 6 times last week. So there's that too.
Absolutely. And hey, a lot of guys who have the ability to play good football, including that O-line. Kevin Zeitler, Peter Skoronsky, and some of those guys have played some good football in the past. Then you got the young guys like Latham, obviously the receiver. You look, Ayo Manor, who we liked. And then Cam Ward, we'll get to him a little bit more with the offense, but someone who has some talent for sure. So this, on paper, it's not a bad group. It's not. But we got to see it all come together as uh, it's a long season with a rookie quarterback. You got to be patient. And even the O-line with chemistry and et cetera, et cetera. And they played the Denver Broncos week 1 out there in Colorado. That's a tough matchup. So, but overall on paper, though, Rams Nation, they got some dudes. And that young guy, Cam Ward at quarterback, he can throw that damn football. I watched his film. I mean, he's got it in him for sure. But moving on to the defense, maybe not as, oh my gosh, but this defense is incredibly well coached, in my opinion. And who was on this defense? Well, former Ram Sebastian Joseph Day, Super Bowl champion. Sebastian Joseph Day, as he was a formal starting D tackle / nose tackle for our Rams for a couple years. And, was the main guy in that 2020 number 1 overall defense, if you remember. Then you have young nose tackle, D tackle, Devondre Sweat. And then you have all pro and Pro Bowl level player, Jeffrey Simmons at D tackle. He wrecked our game back in 2021, absolutely dominated our O line. And he was a big reason why we lost bad in our last matchup against Tennessee many years ago. And you got Arden Key at an outside linebacker spot. You got Cedric Gray at inside linebacker. You got Cody Barton at the other inside linebacker spot. Then you got Draymond Jones at the other edge rushing spot. Then you have Jarvis Brownlee Jr. at corner. At nickel, you got Roger McCreary. You have Amani Hooker at safety, Xavier Woods, who came over from Carolina at safety, and then the big free agent signing from a year ago, L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback coming in from Kansas City, who had a lot of good success. And then one of their backups, former Pro Bowler Quandre Diggs, who's, if you remember our Seattle matchups throughout the years, he's been a good player. We needed to start for them last year. But, hey, you may also see a little bit of Kevin Winston. You may even see a little bit of, Darrell Baker Jr., possibly even, Samuel Womack. I mean, all these guys, it's not set in stone who is the main dudes yet, as we're only in week 2. But overall, Rams Nation, this defense is well coached. They're coached from the Baltimore way of doing things, a 3-4 defense. Similar setup to ours, but a little bit different. And this unit was good last year, and I was impressed what I saw on film from them in totality against the Denver Broncos this last week 1. So maybe not a lot of guys are saying, oh, Pro Bowler, not Pro Bowler, all pro, not all pro. Did I say that correctly? It's a good group. But Mark, I mean, your thoughts overall on this group?
Well, I mean, if you just look at last week, and their offense was fairly anemic, a really good Broncos defense.
Yeah.
And typically when that happens, things fall apart. But this defense kept them in the game, right? Held this Broncos offense, held them pretty good. It was really the offense, the issues with the offense, just couldn't get anything going. It was pretty pitiful. And the fact that they are still able to hold the Broncos to 20 points says something about this defense. And Simmons, man, he is just a beast. And he's a guy that the Rams are going to have to deal with him, going to have to figure him out to get this running game going for sure, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah, and Arden Key, man, it seems like that guy's been around forever. How many different teams has he played for? But still hanging in there, and he's a very talented guy. Has just never really put it together season, you know, consistently from one season to the next.
True. Very true. I mean, so a good group, Rams Nation. But how about those specialists? Well, you got Joe Sly, who had a fantastic return against Denver last week. So he'll be, you know, or excuse me, not Joe Sly. Reading the wrong names here. I'm thinking of, I'm reading Mr. Dyke there, and I'm looking at Joey Sly. So kick returner, punt returner, Shamiri Dyke, if I'm saying his name correctly, hopefully, he had a big return against Denver this past week, and it looked impressive. He found a lane and he got through that gap, and he made a big play in that game to help the Titans possibly win that game. Obviously, they didn't do it, but he was doing pretty good. Right, they got Morgan Cox, a long snapper. Then you have old friend, former Pro Bowler, all pro level kicker, punter, do it all specialist, fake punt, throw the football, throw touchdowns, complete fourth and longs, Johnny Hecker. He is now on Tennessee as gosh, what a weird thing not seeing him as a Ram. You know, he was such a great player for us, but he is there. You got to watch out for those fakes now. They'll pull some crap like that against us. Then you have the kicker, Joey Sly, not the returner, the main kicker, Joey Sly, as you know, he was scoring pretty much all of Tennessee's points this last game, and he was reliable. He made all his attempts, looked clean, looked down the middle. So overall, as a specialist group, Mark, it feels pretty good. And then again, like I said, you got to watch out for old friend, Super Bowl champion Johnny Hecker for any fake punts. You know, he's a big guy that can throw that football. So a good group, I think, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I wonder if they'd have something in the works for Johnny against his whole team. And he made my top 50 greatest Rams of all time, the only special teams player to make it. And I know, hey, he's a punter. How's he in your top 50 when you just position by position? I think he's one of the greatest punters of his generation.
Yeah,
And I know punters don't make it to the Hall of Fame unless your name is Ray Guy. Did Ray Guy ever make it? Hopefully he did.
I
But
think so.
Johnny Hecker might have had a sniff at the Hall of Fame if he had stayed with the Rams his entire career. I think going to Carolina and now the Titans
Yeah,
really hurt his chances. But man, he's one of the greatest ever.
he is, honestly. So got to watch out for all his tricks and trickery that we're so accustomed to. I mean, I assume Tennessee is going to do something for him. It just feels that way, especially with Coach Fossil being there too, right? And that's why um, Johnny's there again. Let's be honest. So they have some old Rams guys there, right? Van
They're
Jefferson,
gonna have uh,
Ecker,
they're gonna
Coach
have
Fossil's there. So
they're gonna
they're
have
gonna,
something drawn up. They got to have something drawn up,
yeah,
right?
it feels that way, and which I'll be nervous about for sure, Rams Nation. I will be nervous. But how about the best players from the Tennessee Titans, right? We talked about the rosters as a whole. We gave our respect to the offense on paper, right? A unit that should be better than what they produced out in Denver. And then their defense, who, again, I think is pretty dang good overall as a unit, may not have a bunch of wow star players. But out of that group, who are the best? And we'll start with the guy on the left of your screen if you're tuning in here on YouTube with us. And that would be newly signed Xavier Woods, the safety. He was with Carolina for a long time, playing some good football for them. But based on what I saw this last week from him, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Now, all the stats aren't crazy, but his film was good. And he finished the day against Denver last week as we go with the stats for this season. Now, we don't have to look back to last season now. He had, two combined tackles, but he had that big time interception where he got a 16-yard return. And I just thought he played really good coverage. He looked like he knew where to be. He definitely was able to be there to help with the run. And then, of course, him jumping and getting, that interception was a really, really athletic play. What a good signing for him and or for the Carolina Panthers and himself. But he's one of the best players right now, I think. And Mike, I mean, your quick thoughts on uh, free safety, strong safety, do it all man, Xavier Woods out there in the back end.
Yeah, so he was originally with the Cowboys, Vikings, Panthers, and now the Titans, and he's just rock solid. If there's a safety that's floated around the league that much, and we all know who he is, um, that says something about him. He's a solid player, and we'll see how he matches up against the Rams wide receivers. We're going to probably stress him. Hopefully get our tight ends involved and see what he can do. But yeah, back end's pretty solid there.
Yeah, back end right there. And again, he looked good in my opinion for sure. So Xavier Woods, someone you got to look out for, someone who is a good overall safety, in my opinion. Then how about the man next to him in this graphic? That would be D tackle Tavondre Sweat, the young player who is a big son of a gun, man. 6'4", 366 pounds. More like a nose tackle in this 3-4 scheme, but he can push out a little bit and play traditional, DN/D tackle, whatever name you like. And in his last game, it wasn't too incredible on the stat sheet, right? It wasn't perfect, but he had 2 solo tackles. And then he had that great play where Bo Nix tried to sneak it, and he totally got the great penetration. He beat all the linemen off the snap pretty much. He was able to squeeze in there and get Bo Nix on the ground on a quarterback sneak that instant. That was impressive. And now I know this is a new season, and I didn't do too much with Xavier Woods, but Tavondre had some really good moments last year, and I expect him to have another nice season overall for the Tennessee Titans there. So he's a player, a big son of a gun who could blow up the middle of a defense, strong, powerful, just a big body. And if he's getting penetration like he did against Bo Nix on quarterback sneaks on that stuff and anything like that, he's someone to fear running up the middle to any degree, Mark. I mean, your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I remember talking about him in our mock drafts a year and a half ago, and he was very enticing because I felt like that's what the Rams needed uh, to defend the run. Obviously, struggled against the run last year, and like I said, he's a beast, a big dude, and that's not the type of player the Rams have typically drafted. Those two down, and I don't know about Sweat, but most guys that size are two down back, two down defensive linemen. And I had a feeling whoever drafted him was going to be really happy, and that has certainly turned out to be the case.
Yeah. And he's ended up, he's looking like a good player for them out of Texas. And someone to fear for sure up the middle of that defense. But how about his running mate, the former All Pro, Pro Bowl level player who whipped our ass back in the 2021 matchup? That would be defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. As go back and rewatch that game, Rams Nation, if you're unfamiliar how much you can ruin a game. Again, go back to that last 2021 Rams Titans matchup, and he absolutely killed us. And he's been killing teams since. Now, has he been a quarterback, sack master like some other D tackles, D linemen? No, but he's just an overall fantastic defensive lineman. There's just no doubt about it. But how did he do this last week? Well, he had 3 solo tackles, he had an assist, he had 4 quarterback hits, he had a tackle for loss, and then he had a very key sack on Bo Nix. I mean, for a D tackle, we're used to Aaron Donald craziness. I mean, this is a fantastic day against a well-coached offense, against an offense everyone thought was going to be one of the best of week 1. And he was a big reason why that they really shut down the passing attack, the running attack from the Denver Broncos for most of that game. And dude is a serious problem that I'm worried about this game, Mark. But your thoughts about Jeffrey Simmons and what he's about?
Well, he's a two-time second-team All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler, and
Yeah.
he came out of the SEC as a two-time first team in the SEC as well. And those two dudes, Sweat and Simmons up front. The Rams are going to have to figure something out. I don't know if this is a game you want to try to run it between the tackles. I'm sure they'll try to some degree. But yeah, Simmons, the awards speak for themselves. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's he's a scary son of a gun, and we'll get to our keys to victory, and he is a large part of it. Spoiler alert! And if you couldn't guess that already, the way I'm talking about him, but Jeffrey Simmons, he is a scary son of a gun to go up against for sure. But how about the man to his right? Wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Speaking of gambling stuff, once upon a time he was getting himself in trouble and suspended for a whole season as he was with the Falcons at that time, and then got traded. to Jacksonville. Now he ends up, staying in that division, signing a big deal with Tennessee. As he was someone that I was like, hey, Rams, like if he's available, I think McVay will be able to work with them and they'll get him on the right track. But obviously that wasn't a target of theirs. And he ends up with these two other teams instead. But super, super talented player, a great route runner. That's a tongue twister right there. And someone who has the ability to take a top off a defense, someone who can work the short area, the intermediate. I mean, he can attack you in all the different levels of a defense. And this last game, it wasn't his best, let's be honest. But there's no doubt about that his talent is for sure. But how about his stats from last game, right? He got targeted, thrown to 8 times, only came down with 4 catches, 27 yards. Wasn't great. His longest was 13 yards. And there was a lot of times Cam Ward hit him in the hands, and it should have been, a 10-plus yard game on multiple occasions, and he just couldn't hang on, whether he's worried about getting smacked or the jitters of the moment, whatever it is. But putting that aside, and I know it's hard to, that was the most recent game he played. The dude is uber talented. This guy could run by majority of defenders in the NFL, and if we don't take him seriously, and we say, oh, you're an older Calvin Ridley, we can play some soft coverage on it. Oh, we can not worry about you like we did Nico Collins last week. I mean, he can absolutely kill us. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, he just caught a 30-yard pass on us. Oh, there he goes for 15. Oh, there he goes for 20. And then it's like, okay, now we should start taking him serious. That's not a good way to go about it. Calvin really is one of their best players. He's paid as such. He's got the talent. And if it weren't for some big drops, I mean, he would have had a nice clutch day for Tennessee, and maybe they win that game with a couple of his catches. So cannot overlook him, Mark, just based on last week. He is one of their best players.
Yeah, a lot of respect for him, but the way our secondary played last week, I feel much better about this matchup than I did the matchup with the Texans. And Calvin Ridley, bring it on. Akilla Witherspoon and Emmanuel Forbes, apparently, especially Witherspoon, had an incredible game, and I like that matchup, Witherspoon on Ridley. I really do. But yeah, he's a guy we're going to have to contain. But I'm really excited about what our secondary brought last week.
Yeah. So hey, if they bring it like they did last week, then we should be in good shape. But if they take Calvin Ridley lightly, like he is not Nico Collins level, which again, we can all agree that he's not as of this point. But if they do that, I mean, Calvin can go off on us and we all look back like, okay, why did we not treat him serious? Why did we just play? Oh no, anyone can play on him and match up and yada yada yada. That's just a terrible idea. So I hope that's not the case. Now, who is their final best player in our eyes here? That would be former Chief Super Bowl champion and big paid money man, cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. As what got him that big payday in Tennessee was, his physical style, right? He was really good at going up at the line of scrimmage and playing that press, hard jam technique where it's like really get your hands on guys, really beat them up at the line of scrimmage and run with them that way and, play some man, play some zone. He was a versatile player, but hey, Kansas City couldn't keep him. They didn't want to keep him for that price. And then, Tennessee threw the money bags at him and here he is. And he's a good corner. Now, is he the best or one of the best based on the way he's paid? I don't think so, but he's someone on his best days, he can lock up our best wide receivers for sure. And what did he do this last game, everyone? Well, let's pull up his stats here. As last game wasn't crazy, right? He was doing a good job covering some guys. He only had 1 pass defended, so he got his hands on a pass when he was thrown to. Then he had a couple tackles, right? He had 3 solo tackles as he gets in there, but he's someone, again, on his best day, he can cover and lock somebody up in that press style of play that he likes to do, Mark. And in this aggressive Ravens-esque defense that they are deploying, it fits really well. And he's a big reason why they have a lot of success in totality with this Titans defense. So he's still a good player for sure.
Yeah, and he'll come off the edge a little bit too. He's got 6.5 sacks, so Kyron's going to have to be on red alert for the quarterback blitz with Snead out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, in totality, got to respect who is out there for the offense of Tennessee, even though it wasn't pretty at all this last week for them. But this defense is legit. Whether it be the best players that we mentioned here, Simmons, Sweat, or Legarius, or the other guys as a whole who may not be household names, but as a unit, they play pretty dang good. Don't forget about old friend Johnny Hecker and their specialists. I mean, gotta watch out for them as well. So this team cannot be overlooked. It absolutely cannot. But with all that said, how is the roster holding up injury wise, and how is the Rams roster holding up injury wise? As we pull up the injury report as of today. And if you're looking here on YouTube, you can see all the names here. So for the Rams, Davis Allen got a knee issue, but he was limited. Rob Havenstein and Devontae Adams had veteran rest days as they were not practicing. And I know it's his ankle there, but yes, that is something that's been bothering Rob, but he would practice probably anyway, per McVay. But Colby Parkinson, Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson are all guys who got injured in this past week 1 game, and they were officially not practicing. Both Dotson and Avila dealing with ankle injuries, as McVay is hopeful they play on Sunday morning for us on the West Coast. And Colby Parkinson with that shoulder, that's a coin flip as well. Not great. But then Tennessee's side of things, Quandre Diggs didn't practice because of a hand. Arden Keyes got a pec issue. He was limited, but he was out there. J.C. Latham did not practice due to his hip. You had Kalen Mullings, one of the running backs, didn't practice. L'Jarius Sneed was limited with his knee. Devondre Sweat with an ankle did not practice. And then Kevin Winston Jr., the safety, was limited with a hamstring. So, hey, some important guys for Tennessee, though, Mark, as well, who were limited or did not practice as well. As, hey, both teams are getting a little beat up barely in the week 2.
Yeah, man, Dotson and Avila are the keys here for me. If we have to go to backups against Simmons and Sweat, it could be a long day. Rams would have to modify their offense to deal with that because I don't think Bo Limmer, Coleman, Shelton, and let's say Justin Dedich or whoever are the answer for this Titans defensive line. So hopefully those guys can go.
Yeah, hopefully they oh my god. Hopefully they can, and we'll save some of those thoughts to the keys of victory. So, okay, there's your injury report, Rams Nation. Very nail biter on the Rams side. Also some nail biting going on with Tennessee. But before we officially get into those keys, let's pull out some head-to-head stats as a final kind of grand view before we share our final thoughts, right? Tennessee's offense, 12 points per game, only 133 total yards, only had 62 passing yards, had 71 rushing yards, and they allowed 6 sacks. Not great. Their defense allowed 20 points, right? They held on. Total yards was 317, but they, were able to make a lot of plays against the Bo Nix-led Denver Broncos offense. Passing yards about 166. The rushing yards kind of got away from them at the end of the game, what ended up being 151. And then, hey, 1 sack with Jeffrey Simmons obviously being the main one there, right? And then had the 2 turnovers. And then they were one of the most penalized teams in week 1 with 13 for 131 penalty yardage. I mean, wow, that is quite a bit. But how about the Rams side of things? Rams defense, 9 points. Fantastic giving up. Total yards, 265, which is under 300. That's good. Passing yards, 151. Rushing yards, 114. Not ideal, but they got the 3 sacks on CJ Stroud against Houston. That's pretty dang good. But how about that Rams offense? Only 14 points. Should have been 21. Probably should have been more than that, for being honest about it. Total yards, 296. Solid against a good unit. Passing yards, 224. The rushing yards, I was disappointed in, right? Only 72. And then they also gave up 3 sacks, which is unfortunate. But hey, they had the 1 turnover differential, right? They're in the positive right now, which is nice. And then 7 penalties for 160. Not great. A lot of them were for dumb roughing the passer, other phantom holding, and other craziness. When you watch back the film, you're like, what were the refs looking at? So take that with a grain of salt as well, Rams Nation. But those are your head-to-head stats and just a final view before we get into the keys of victory, Mark.
Yeah, and think about this for a second. The Titans defense took the ball away 4 times from the Broncos, gave it back to their offense, and their offense is still only able to put up 12 points. So this is a really good effort by the it kind of reminds me of some Ram teams of years past where the defense was actually pretty good and the offense was just putrid. Like I said, a lot of times those games get away from you, and the final score does not reflect how good one side, one group of your players played, whether it be the offense or the defense. In this case, the Titans defense actually, you got to salute them. They actually had a really good game against the Broncos. So we're going to have to bring it. Offense, on the other hand, if they play like they did, if they carry that over from last week to this week, Rams defense is going to have a field day.
Yeah, I think so as well. But woo, baby, we got to see what the heck's going to happen. And as all that has been said, all the info about the roster, their best players, some fun stats for you guys, injury report, head-to-head history, all that. Now it is time to get into this keys to victory part of the episode, right? How are the Rams going to win this freaking game? And we'll start with you, Mark. What are your keys to victory here? And I'll start with the offense for you. Offensively, what do you think?
What do the Rams need to do on offense? Well, this may be a game that, and to be honest with you, I haven't given this much thought yet. So this is off the cuff, but I think I can nail a couple here. I think the one thing you have to do is continue to get a bunch of people involved. I don't think this is a game where you're going to hand the ball off to Kyron up the middle 23 times. Continue doing what they did last week. This is a really good defense, and you've got to use all your tools in your tool belt. Jordan Whittington on the jet sweep. Get the tight ends involved. If Parkinson can't go, hey, Davis Allen contributed last week. Maybe Terrence Ferguson gets some snaps, and get two more involved. Just to spread the ball around, and man, let's not rely on Puka like this every game in and out. Man, he's not going to last. He's already beat up, I think. But I think that's the key. Just continue to spread the ball around and be creative on offense. You've kind of been saying this for 2 years, right? And when they do that, they seem to succeed.
I know. It's so simple in theory, isn't it? But this never goes that way. Football is a great game, but is imperfect for many reasons. But for me, offensively, Rams Nation, my keys to victory is with the assumption that Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson aren't playing. If they do play, great. But with the way McVay talked to them as a week to week and then have backtracked it, because I think he probably just wants the tactical advantage of Tennessee not knowing for sure. And I think he realized it after, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to assume they're not playing, which is not good. And I'm going to go with that assumption, right? It's going to be Bo Limmer and Dedich at both guard spots. So with that said, and even if it is Avila and Dotson and they're not 100%, which is going to be the case if they play, you have to attack the edges of this Titans defense. Yes, Arden, Key, and Co, who are rotate in, are solid edge guys. But for God's sakes, do not try to run up the middle gazillion times with banged up starting O-linemen or your backups. Jeffrey Simmons, Tavondre Sweat are going to stuff the inside. Now, will we get lucky with some runs and maybe things go our way? Sure. And I'm not saying don't run up the middle at all, but let's not just keep running duo and inside zone and wham this, wham that with that blocking scheme and whatever it may be. Fullback lead, isolation, any of the run plays you can think of up the middle, and there's tons. Let's not do that over and over and over. I just don't think we're going to get much success. And because we're going to have backups in more likely than not, they're not going to be able to handle it. Let's just be honest. So let's run the ball to the outside, right? Jet sweeps, outside zone. Let's get some toss. Let's do, G power to the outside to Rob Havenstein's hip, in between him and the tight end, to Alaric Jackson's outside hip and a tight end. Let's run to those spots on the football field. I think that'll be much better. And then, of course, again, mix up the run, jet sweeps, power toss, power to the outside. Let's run outside zone, any type of, end arounds, all that stuff. Let's attack the outside and let's see if those edge rushers and corners are legit and real about tackling, right? Let's test that more than let's test the middle with some backup linemen in the middle or not 100% starting Dotson and starting Avila, right? Okay. Passing attack wise, because you're going to have lineman issues in the interior, Jeffrey Simmons is a fantastic pass rusher. So, very similar to the Houston Texans game plan. How about let them rush and let's throw a little screen over their heads? I need to see the tight ends get more involved in the screen game. I need to see the running backs get more involved in the screen game. And how do you keep a defensive line honest that's rushing the passer good, especially from the interior? You throw right over their heads to the outside, inside, left, right, etc. And those are ways where you can get your playmakers out in space because, again, you have backup linemen in. It ain't going to be this, hey, let's take a 7-step drop with Matthew Stafford and hope that these backups hang on. That is an unrealistic way to play this game offensively. So let's not do that. And then if you do want some deeper shots, I like what Sean McVay did this last game. Let's get some play action boots, whether they be naked with no lead blocker, traditional with a lead blocker. Let's get Matthew Stafford out of the fire zone there. Fire zone meaning just the chaos of the middle. Let's get him out there. Let's get him free to be able to survey the field cleanly and make a decision. And he did a fantastic job of that multiple times against a talented Houston Texans defense. So I want to see more of that. And gosh, it sounds so simple, but we know Sean McVay is going to want to drop back and have these long developing plays, but I don't think that's a smart idea, Mark, offensively.
Yeah, they're gonna have to avoid the middle for the most part. I think we both agree on that. But man, this would be a great game. I don't know what's going on with Terrence Ferguson. I'm not worried about it, but if Colby
Yeah,
can't go, man, love to see him with the ball in his hands. Yeah, that could be exactly what the doctor ordered against this defense.
absolutely. And then going back to speaking of defense, I mean, Mark, what are your keys to victory for Rams defense versus Cam Ward led offense there? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to sound a little pompous for our Rams here. This is a really good matchup for our team, I think, and we just need to get the jump on them and put our foot on their throat. We just our defensive roster is just too good to allow this team to move the ball with any consistency. We're going to have to get after Cam Ward, we shut down their wide receivers, don't give an inch in the run game. We can do all those things. It's just a matter of coming out and being ready to play. I don't think there's any specific key. Just come to play, and that may sound if Titans fans are listening to that, they're probably going to get a little pissed off at me. But I just think this Rams defense is too good. If they show up and just play their game and just just take it to them from the get go, and this it will probably hold them to single digits.
Yeah, and that would be the goal, right? Single digits. That'd be fantastic. And it's very possible. But what is the main root of this offense? It's Cam Ward. And what do you got to do? You got to get to him. And then if you can't get to them, how can we confuse him schematically with the coverage, right? He's a young guy. Yes, he's played a lot of football. Yes, he's been leaned on heavily through college and even this last game, as I thought he had some really good throws and they just couldn't bring it in. So we know he can zip it. We know he's able to throw under pressure. Now, will he take some sacks and all that? Sure. But I think this is the main key here, Mark. And this is something that I didn't like from the Rams defenses last week, even though they only gave up 9 points. They let CJ Stroud run outside of the pocket multiple times. He's not a running quarterback. He's not some slowpoke or some unathletic guy. That's not my point. But Cam Ward is in that similar mold where if he's got a bail, he can run a little bit. Now, again, no Lamar Jackson type running, of course. But I think this game is going to be about let's contain the pocket and let's suffocate it that way. Yes, would getting pressure up the middle or just the outside be great in itself? Of course. But I think let's suffocate it. Let's make the walls of the pocket feel like it's shrinking in milliseconds. So he panics, maybe makes a bad decision, makes a panic throw, and he's got an arm talent. I get it. But that's how young quarterbacks get in trouble. When things feel like they're caving in, how can you make him make a bad decision when he could have stood calm and made a better one? And I think that's the case because I still don't like what I see with the Rams, pass rush unit not keeping contained. That's on you, Jared Verse. That's on you, Byron Young. You guys are awesome, but that's a big weakness of your game if I had to choose something. And I'm worried about that a little bit because if we get the pressure and they can't deliver on the sack and the tackle, could he bail out? So let's suffocate the pocket and make him panic. Now, that's that in itself. Then coverage wise, let's say that doesn't happen. Let's mix it up. Chris Shula, I've seen this defense disguise things very well. You line up like you're going to blitz, and then let's bail out. Let's line up like we're not going to blitz, and then let's blitz. Let's disguise coverages like, hey, we're lining up. It maybe look like cover 2, but then when the ball is snapped, we're jumping into cover 6, cover 4, cover 3. Let's mess with the mental of this rookie quarterback, and let's make him make bad decisions. And I think those two things primarily are how we're going to win, because I think talent versus talent, Rams defense versus Tennessee Titans offense, excuse me, we're better objectively, but how can we make things tough for the young quarterback? I think that's the main key. And of course, yes, stop the run, play physical, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, all that. But I think the mental game schematically with coverage and then just suffocating the pocket so he gets panic and maybe makes a bad throw. I think those are going to be the main keys on defense, Mark. We'll see.
Yeah, and I've talked about that pass rush lane integrity, if that's the right way of putting it. It's been a problem ever since Jared first arrived. Really, I mean, he's a great player, plays with such aggression, but we've seen it game in over and over again. Those quarterbacks slipping out and making plays against us.
Yeah. As that was both my keys to victory and Mark's keys to victory. As I'll share this real quick, though. I mean, I did like what I saw from Cardi on those kickoffs, right? He was getting them in bounds in the landing zone, and they were rolling into the end zone, which got Houston to start at the 20-yard line quite a bit. And if he can continue that, that'll even put more pressure on Cam. We're like, hey, you're going to lead an 80-yard touchdown drive more times than not. I'll put money on that doesn't happen. Now, if we have bad kicks and he gets at the 35, that makes it a lot easier on his mental and just on the pressure of getting points, right? And we all know they got a good kicker. And then, of course, watch out for Hecker and a special teams trick play, which I feel like is coming. There's no way Coach Bones and him aren't dialing something up for their old team. It just feels like that's more likely than not that those things are
Yeah,
going to happen. So
we haven't talked about that landing zone approach that Cardi had. That was a big part of the win there.
it was for sure. So, woo. Well, your keys to victory, Rams Nation. Again, Rams, talent wise, roster to roster are better than Tennessee, but this game could get weird. It definitely can with that Tennessee defense. They're good. They're well coached. Their scheme is good. It's very Baltimore Ravens esque. They got a lot of players that are stout. And then obviously Jeffrey Simmons and some other cats. If they play their best, they can absolutely ruin this game for us. So you cannot take them lightly, Rams Nation. Do not think this is some, oh, we're going to kick their ass. If that ends up happening, then great. But I don't feel that way. And with that said, we'll get into our early score predictions here. As yes, it is Wednesday. Yes, we don't have the full injury report of, hey, is Kevin or Avila going to play? We don't know. I'm leaning towards they probably don't. I know Mark's probably more positive about it. And we'll see which guys do or do not play for Tennessee as the week unfolds. But we got to give you our early score predictions for sure. So I'll start with you, Mark. What do you think the final score of this game is going to be? Do you think Rams kick their ass, or do you think it's going to be a lot closer than I think a lot of people are uh, wanting it to be?
Well, I think it's going to be um, it's going to be it's a scary game. They're all scary to me, though, right? I think they're all scary for you too, Ian. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
but but this Rams defense is on a roll. Someone
Yeah.
pointed out that I think it was Blaine, uh, 4 straight regular season games holding teams to single digits, and if there's an offense that they should be able to hold to single digits, it's this one. Those 4 regular season games, excluding the week 18 game against the Seahawks when starters didn't play. This is this is set up perfectly for the Rams defense. The question is how can our offense, cash in with a couple of touchdowns? And I think my guess is Avila plays and Dotson doesn't. That's just my gut feeling, based on some social media posts by Avila.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm going with Rams 20 and Titans 9. The Rams defense extends that single digit streak, and the Rams win. I don't think that's going to be, a worrisome game into the second half, though. Rams aren't going to be able to put this team away completely until the fourth quarter, but I think the Rams hold them to single digits, and I'll be disappointed if they get into the teens against this Rams defense. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's a fair prediction right there. And I'm definitely in more of the nail biting aspect of this. Again, I'm going with the assumption that Kevin and Steve Avila are not going to play in this game, right? Give them time. We have a long season. Got to let them come back fully healthy. I mean, what has McVay said a ton? We want players to return to performance, not just to play. He says that a bunch throughout the years, right? We want guys back playing at their best, not just, hey, you're able to go, but you're not 100% and it's hurting the team, or, your productivity is not benefiting us. So, with that in mind, and with Kevin Dotson Avila not playing in my scenario, I got this thing being a nail biter, Mark. I got 17-13 in this game. Why? Because I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to beat the shit out of our backups if they have to play. And if they don't, then great, right? If Bo Limmer holds up and Didich and whoever else will be out there, maybe, maybe not. If they're able to contain Simmons and Sweat and just the blitzing nature of them attacking that middle of the defense, then fan-freaking-tastic. But I'm going to be logical here and say that's probably not the case if they have to play. Let's be real about it. I expect the run game to suffer again like it did against Houston, if that's the case. And yes, will we get it together maybe after halftime, after maybe only scoring 7-10 points or something? Possibly. But I don't think, points are going to be easy against this Tennessee Titans defense. I expect another low scoring offensive output where all of us are like, what is wrong with this Rams offense? We're like, no, we played two good defenses in a row. But again, if the Rams offense goes off, I'll be happy. That will be great. And then with that, I think because of the offense stalling more than we all would love and like to see, because backups are in, I think Tennessee's going to have their opportunities to get some type of points. They're going to get more chances with the ball. So I think they'll get some field goals. And then I think Cam Ward and them will realize, hey, hold on to the damn football, wide receivers, and we can move the ball and maybe get some touchdown drives assembled here. As again, Cam Ward had some nice passes I was impressed with under pressure and whatnot. And I think he will make better decisions. I think he will try to. And I think he will probably use his legs a little bit more. Like, yep, I ain't going to stay in here if Kobe Turner's in my face. I'm bailing. Or, oh, I feel Jared Byron braiding on me. I just got to go and get some type of positive yardage. So I think that's going to be more a part of their game as well. So I'm expecting a nail biter, man. 17-13 Rams win. But again, because backups are in, because it's a good defense, because I think Calvin, the wide receiver, Cam Ward, the offense as a whole won't be so pitiful in certain areas and they'll learn from it. I think it's going to be close. And look at it. It's their first home game for Cam Ward. I mean, the fans are going to be excited. The crowd noise will probably be a factor. It'll probably be hot out there. It's a 10 a.m. game for the Rams, even though it's a 1 o'clock or whatever time it is out there in Tennessee. So I'm worried about it, but I think Rams pulled off. But I'm expecting a nail biter just based on the scenario of Landman not playing against Jeffrey Simmons. Ugh, hate it.
Yeah, a couple things to add. You reminded me. Number one, Sean McVay is on social media all over the place. He has a pretty astute record with East Coast games, 10 o'clock our time.
Thankfully.
One of the best in the league. And the thing that worries me about Cam Ward also is if you followed him his senior year, his last year at Miami, he really pulled magic out of his hat several times. So he is capable of really big plays at the end of games. Unfortunately, there was that one game I forget. Remember watching it. I was at an airport somewhere, and he threw that back of the end zone toe tapper and three
Yeah.
guys wrestling for the ball, and they came down with it for the win. Crazy stuff like that happened during, and with a quarterback like that, he just needs that one breakthrough moment where he knows he belongs and he can play in this league, like JJ McCarthy did in the fourth quarter Monday night. And we just hope it's Cam Ward doesn't have that moment against us where Cam Ward has arrived. Don't want to see
Jesus, I
that.
know.
Don't want to see that Sunday morning.
Yep, I know. If you a game that has a very similar feel to this, in my opinion, is the 2020 first game for Tua Tagovailoa out in Miami. It was our
Yeah.
early start game. We were like, yeah, we're way better, but hey, their defense is good. Gotta respect it. But we don't expect a lot from their offense, et cetera, et cetera. And their defense whooped our ass. And then again, Tua and them really didn't do jack till he squat on
No,
offense,
they
but they got
didn't.
short fields, and it was just a mess. This game has that similar eerie feel to it again, right? Good defense, you
Yeah.
respect it. An offense, which are kind of like, meh, they have a rookie quarterback. They ain't going to do crap. And then it ends up, you get your ass whooped out there on a hot day in the South. So hopefully this version of the Rams doesn't do that. Again, we have Matthew Stafford, not 2020 Jared Goff, who was a average, below average quarterback most times throughout that year. Different setup, I get it, but it has that kind of feel, man. Rookie quarterback, hot weather, good defense, not a respectable team overall. People feel about it, so I think they win, but it'll be a nail biter for
I
sure.
remember that game with Miami, and there was a couple of disastrous plays. I think there
Yeah.
was at least one scoop and score
Hmm.
on a blitz on Goff, and I think they scored defensively twice on us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, this Tennessee defense has that ability, absolutely. And if we got backups in, they need to play some sound, good football. And McVay and the coaching staff offensively have to protect those guys, whether they're the backups or the injured starters fighting through ankle injuries to be out there. Either way, it's going to be a nail biter, in my opinion. I hope not, though. I hope not. But shoot, Rams Nation, those are your keys to victories from me and Mark there. But let me know in the comment section as well. What are your keys to victory for a Rams win out there in Nashville, Tennessee? Offense, what do you think needs to be done? Defense, what do you think needs to be done? And of course, special teams as well. What do you think, something needs to be defended against Mr. Hecker over there? Maybe doing a fake, or maybe we throw a fake and say, haha, right back at you, Coach Fossil. Whatever you think, let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading everyone's thoughts and all that fun stuff. But Mark, before we get out of here, man, I mean, anything else that we missed?
no, I just wanted to share that we hope to have a Titans podcaster on board tomorrow night. Probably publish that sometime Friday. So that should be really interesting. Get the insight of a Titans insider. And I guess me and you will be back for the post game recap within an hour or so of the after the Rams victory.
That is right. And man, the season's already flying by, already 1 week down, and this week will be done soon. And we just keep going on and on and on as we are in week 2, Rams versus Titans of this 2025 season. I hear a lot of Rams fans will be traveling out there to Nashville, as I see a lot of fun posts on X, Twitter, anywhere, everywhere else as well. So if you're out there, be safe, take care of each other, look out for each other, rep that blue and gold and white and whatever other navy black colors that you got repping on from whatever era Rams football you enjoy for sure. But man, hopefully the Rams win. I think they will win. And no matter where you are on planet Earth, whether you're here in LA watching the game, whether you're in Nashville with your fellow Rambly, whether you're in the Americas, around the world, Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, wherever the Rams are represented, never forget, rep them hard, bleed blue and yellow, and go Rams, baby. Never forget.